Good morning. This is Chair French convening the regular business meeting of the Kansas Corporation Commission for Thursday, June 12th, joined by my colleagues Commissioner Keene and Commissioner Keither. On today's agenda, we have a consent agenda consisting of 21 items, and we have one noticed item, which is a presentation and potential action in a FERC matter, docket number ER 25-2296. We will begin with our consent agenda. Commissioners, you've had the opportunity to review those 21 items on the consent agenda. Let me ask at this time if you have any questions, beginning with Commissioner Keither.
No question, thanks.
And Commissioner Keene.
No questions for me either. I am going to recuse this morning on consent agenda items number 5 and number 7. Noting those recusals, I would move the approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda, noting Commissioner Keene's recusal on items 5 and 7. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor, please vote aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed, say no. The consent agenda is approved. With that, we go to our one noticed item. This is FERC matter, docket number ER 25-2296, concerning SPP's proposal on an expedited resource adequacy study. And for this item, our presenter will be Mr. Brian Fedotin.
Yes, good morning, commissioners. In FERC docket number ER 25-2296, the Southwest Power Pool, or SPP, submitted a proposal to implement the Expedited Resource Adequacy Study, or ERAS, proposal as a limited and necessary measure to address projected near-term capacity shortfalls. SPP explains this expedited generation interconnection study is essential for maintaining reliability across the SPP region. SPP is predicting the need for an additional 16.7 gigawatts of accredited capacity for the year 2030. The SPP ERAS proposal is designed as a one-time targeted study process to enable regulated utilities to identify and procure needed generation capacity to fulfill their obligations and comply with resource adequacy requirements. Both the SPP Regional State Committee and SPP's Board of Directors voted in support of the ERAS proposal and directed SPP staff to initiate this docket at FERC. The Regional State Committee's vote on ERAS was unanimous, and every state's RSC member has signed a letter to FERC supporting the ERAS proposal. Accordingly, I would ask the Commission to authorize its FERC Council to file comments in support of the ERAS proposal, and I'm available for questions.
All right, thank you, Brian,
Sure.
for that presentation. With that, are there any questions on this item, beginning with Commissioner Keither?
No question, thanks.
And Commissioner Keene?
None from me either. Did you have a motion you wish to?
I do have a motion. But I want to make one comment before I make the motion. And obviously, as the RSC member, as Brian mentioned, I have signed a letter supporting this, and I did vote in favor of it. I've seen a lot of stakeholder interest in this expedited resource adequacy study. This is not an item unique to the SPP region. This has been proposed in multiple regions around the country to deal with growing demand and the need to get accredited capacity online sooner rather than later. Among that interest, there's definitely a lot of interest in support of these studies, but there have been a lot of concerns raised as well, to the extent that this is a little different than how we have treated open access and sort of our first come first serve queue-based interconnection process in the past. I think for the most part, the concerns I've seen, some are legitimate, but don't outweigh the legitimate need to bring on accredited capacity and maintain reliability. There is one concern that I have heard raised that I do want to address because I think it is particularly egregiously wrong. There has been a concern from some stakeholders that somehow these expedited resource adequacy studies are abrogating state jurisdiction or state level authority to decide what resources we want customers to be served by in our states. And that just could not be farther from the truth. This is, simply put, just an interconnection study. It is a process where utilities or load-serving entities can put resources into the study process and have them studied for eligibility for a generator interconnection agreement. It in no way guarantees or gives them some sort of preferential treatment or pre-approval at the state level that state regulators will choose that they are the right resources to serve customers. In fact, that's the exact same arrangement that we have today. These are separate processes. Utilities and third-party power developers all the time enter things into interconnection queues, and they have to go to state regulators later in a separate process to ask for those to be included in rates or to be approved for customers, be that in a rate case or a predetermination type of proceeding. And I would also add, I know this is true because with this particular process, the ERAS proposal, SPP initially asked and wanted the states in the region to sign off on the projects that were going to go into this expedited study. And I specifically know that I stood up and said, I will not be pre-approving which projects go into the study. I am okay to say that there is a need for more accredited capacity in the region, but I do not think it's appropriate for state regulators to somehow be signing off at an early stage that any particular project is right for our ratepayers. Because if I did that, I would need to recuse myself in a later rate case or a later predetermination process. And so it was very intentional that state regulators would not be signing off on the projects at this early stage where they're getting into an interconnection queue. So I just wanted to make sure that that was made very clear that I do believe that this is a needed process for the region to get more accredited capacity online to support the resource adequacy of the region. But in no way does the fact that a project gets included for study and interconnection mean that it will be approved as part of a state proceeding later. That is an entirely separate inquiry. So just wanted to make that clarification because that is one thing I have heard that is it's pretty much a 180 from what is actually going on here. So with that, I do have a motion and I will proceed with it. I move that the commission authorize our DC council to file comments to the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission in support of the Southwest Power Pool's filing to implement the expedited resource adequacy study in FERC docket number ER 25-2296 and to take such action as necessary to protect the interests of Kansas ratepayers.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second to take the action as I described. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor, please vote aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed say no. The motion is approved. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, commissioners.
All right, with that, we have come to the conclusion of all the items noticed on today's business meeting agenda. If there's nothing further to come before us this morning, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, please vote aye.
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 Aye, we're adjourned. Thank you all. Take care.
Take care.